Star Trek Discovery Season 4 is heating up, especially with the latest episode titled Stormy Weather, where we catch up with the USS Discovery seeking answers to the Dark Matter Anomaly, as such venturing into a subspace rift. Let's explore the latest episode. As usual, spoiler warning, we'll be discussing the latest Discovery Season 4 episode in full detail. You have been warned. Welcome to Trek Central, I'm your host Captain Jack, and let's get right into it. Episode 6 is directed by Trek legend Jonathan Frakes and written by Discovery regulars Anne Cofell Sanders and Brandon Schultz. Personally, since last week's episode 5, I'm really enjoying the direction of writing for Discovery Season 4 so far. This episode also adds to it. The Dark Matter Anomaly plus the growing political tension of the Federation combined with the more personal nature of the show is certainly something to write home about. See what I did there? If you do want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from myself and the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media for daily updates on the Star Trek universe. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get straight into this review. Before we do though, as always, please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, because if we are talking about Star Trek, then we do want to hear about it. Episode 6 is giving myself even more traditional Star Trek vibes. Honestly, with how this episode and the previous one were written, it felt like we just walked out of an episode of Star Trek Voyager, or perhaps even The Next Generation. We're seeing Michael Burnham acting more as a confident captain, commanding the crew and ship. Speaking of the crew, we're seeing them being developed even more. The bridge crew of Discovery are getting an even more character backstory in these episodes, which is fantastic. Lieutenant Commander Wesekun, let's hope I got that right, had an interesting confrontation with Mr. Saru in this episode, one that further develops her character and tells us why she chose to speak out in this moment. Last week, Lieutenant Commander Reese, Discovery's tactical officer, got similar moments earlier in the previous episode, as he led the evacuation mission of the colony. It seems each episode we're getting a dedicated moment for each bridge crew member, which develops them even further, something I'm personally in favour of, though if only this could be done sooner in Discovery's timeline, as in the show, not the actual timeline. You get what I mean. Looking at this episode's structure and the choices made, I will say, why the hell did the Discovery not fire probes into the subspace rupture first, rather than diving headfirst into it? Now obviously I think they most likely did this beforehand, or I missed where it was mentioned in the episode, but it does seem rather reckless to chuck the whole ship in headfirst, and that is kind of proved correct by how they get stuck in there as well. Perhaps there was a bit where other Starfleet vessels, or even a Vulcan ship, have tried this process before. Who knows really? I imagine other species have tried something and perhaps we'll learn more about it in the future. It was interesting to see that Ruon Tarka, portrayed by Sean Doyle, was not in this episode, as he was present on board Discovery in the previous episode. Perhaps he's gone back to Federation headquarters with the information he gathered. I'd like to think so. Looking at the premise of this episode, it was very cool, even if it was slightly reminiscent of the Star Trek Voyager episode, Night. This is where the USS Voyager was trapped in a vast expanse of space with no stars visible, so space was literally a black void outside. Though the difference here is that Discovery is trapped within some sort of subspace bubble, where it's about to be slowly eaten alive it seems. That moment with the dot droid screaming to death, kinda freaky. The Galactic Barrier is brought up in previous iterations of Star Trek, such as the original series as well. One episode, named Is There Truth in No Beauty, featured the Enterprise being stranded inside a space-time continuum void deep within the barrier. While being trapped there, the Enterprise had no sensor data or reference points that are available to exit the void in the right direction. Seems slightly similar to this episode. Towards the end of the episode, we see subspace eating up the Discovery, and the ship is heavily damaged, showing the true extent of what the DMA can leave behind. Also, it was kind of freaky when the dot droid was eaten alive, like I mentioned earlier. I will say that seeing the Discovery heavily damaged and under repair via the new Archer space dock was beautiful in my opinion. Hopefully the ship is not instantly repaired by next week though, as that would sort of take away from the damage. In terms of big reveals, we know that whichever species is behind the Dark Matter Anomaly is somewhat outside of the galaxy it seems, perhaps past the Galactic Barrier, which has been referenced and somewhat seen within Star Trek before. While I wish it was a species we'd heard of before, such as Viconians for example, I'm now rather fascinated on how this plays out. Personally, I hope it is not as disappointing as a reveal of the burn in Discovery Season 3. While I understood the story point and respected that it made total sense for the season, as a sci-fi fan, I was a little disappointed at the eventual reveal. I'm holding a hope that the DMA will give us more substance in terms of science fiction storytelling. Spore drive tech being used in this episode was a great moment, not only because of the fact it did not even work, but it also seems that the Dark Matter Anomaly is damaging the way Discovery can travel via the mycelium network. Oh, and we've also had some great character development between Paul Stamets and Booker. Looking at Book, I think we've really seen his character develop even more. He's clearly still stricken by grief and perhaps even guilt over what happened to his planet of Quajon. The conversation he had with Ruan Tarka last week seems to have rubbed off on him, with Book attempting to persuade Captain Burnham to seek out the species who created the Dark Matter Anomaly. Oh, it seems we also learned Book's actual name. Durax? Durex? That's something else. You get my point, it was kind of hard to listen to. I will say that personally, Book's moments with his father this week, or rather the illusion of his father, were kind of bland for me. I find myself too invested in Discovery's crisis of the week to actually focus on what Book was going through in a sense, and overall found it a little distracting. Perhaps this is the issue of Discovery doing self-contained stories inside each episode, or rather too many should I say. I'm not fully sure, but I do see where the writing direction was attempting to go, and maybe I was just personally too distracted. While the moments may not have been interesting for me, we do get more family character development with Book. We're introduced to Book's inner conflict of whether he should stand by and support the decisions of a person he loves, Captain Michael Burnham, or go his own way and seek revenge for the destruction of Quajon. Coupled with his conversation with Ruan Tarka, as we mentioned, it seems we're watching Book change in front of us. I am liking the decision that's going on. Hopefully it's a lot further like we mentioned in the last few episodes. It certainly seems to be going this way. Part of me wonders whether we'll see a big confrontation between Book and Michael. It seems to be heading this way in the testing of a relationship aspect. Let's talk about Zora in this week's episode. Since the start of Season 4, it's become clear that the onboard Discovery artificial intelligence has been somewhat evolving in new levels. We already knew in Season 3 that Zora's unique personality began to merge with Discovery's computer, causing the voice of Zora to become more her own. The handling and writing of Zora has to be done carefully, due to the Star Trek short trek Calypso, setting up a big chunk of her future history as such. We're seeing the storylines connecting to this right now, especially for Episode 5 and Episode 6, seeing Zora developing emotions. Fear is an emotion we'll all experience through our life, so for Zora, a newly evolved sentient artificial intelligence, to also experience it kinda makes sense. Her bond with Gray, who is also finding a way through a new life right now, makes sense and does deliver the core message of learn to focus and you get through your current situation. Star Trek has always handled fear rather well. Speaking of emotions, it almost feels like Zora deals with grief and regret in this episode as well. I'm talking about the Deck 17 aspect, when a crewman is lost due to a hull breach, forcing Zora to seal off the deck, but it's too late for the crewman as he's lost to a vacuum of space. While this is a sad scene and clearly shakes Zora, it does trigger a result in finding how to deal with the current situation, however. One of my favourite moments from this episode was when Zora decided to sing Captain Burnham a song. It was truly beautiful, combined with the cinematography of Discovery burning up in the subspace rift exit sequence. It's a nice emotional touch that fits with the personal development of Zora. I'm personally super excited to see how Zora develops further going into the 4th season. As I just mentioned Grey, let's talk about them. The episode kinda hinted that they have nothing to do on board Discovery and almost seem lost in a sense. While yes, this episode gave them something to do, such as helping Zora focus, and then being the process of dealing with the emotion of fear, that was sorta it. Discovery's story department seems to have struggled with this, the addition of new characters and what to do with them. Gray, for the most part, was regulated to hang out in Discovery's fancy new bar this episode, and what a bar might I say it is, certainly a step up from 10 forward. Sorry, Jean-Luc. Anyway, with Gray having a new body, and therefore wanting to proceed along the path of becoming a true Guardian, I think that their time on Star Trek Discovery may be sort of coming to a close in a sense, which is a shame, as Ian Alexander is a fantastic actor who really brings character and emotion into the life of Gray. However, on the flip side, we need to make sure there is room for the whole cast to breathe in a sense. We can't really fully develop the bridge crew characters even more if we're still struggling to utilise the other main characters on the show. It remains to be seen how the writers handle Gray going forward, but we really need something for them to do, rather than talking to the computer in the bar the whole episode in a sense. Overall, I found this episode to be really enjoyable. The storyline of the Dark Matter Anomaly and this mysterious alien species has me hooked. Not to mention the additional story of the ever-evolving Zora on board the ship. If the writing continues this way, it'll have my attention for some time now, but that does remain to be seen. As I previously mentioned, likely way too many times, the writing coupled with the increasingly fantastic cinematography is making Star Trek Discovery stand out super well. I originally had my reservations about Season 4 and felt like it was personally running out of steam, but it seems my interest has been renewed with the previous 2 episodes. As usual though, Jonathan Frakes has done a brilliant job in directing this, and hopefully we'll see him again this season. A man can really dream. That's a wrap on our latest review for Star Trek Discovery Season 4, right before the holidays of 2021. We'll be back with episode 7 this time next week. In the meantime, myself and the team here at Trek Central wish you a happy holiday season and hope you're all having a happy time doing whatever you are around the world. A little question though, are you watching a favourite Star Trek episode over the holiday season? If so, let us know. As usual, if you do want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from myself and the team here at Trek Central. You can of course follow us on social media or join our community Discord server. Once again, do let us know your thoughts on this episode down below in the comment section, because if you are talking about Star Trek, then we do want to hear about it. For now though, I have been Captain Jack, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Live long, prosper my friends, goodbye.